Welcome back. You're tuned in to Bazaar Morning Call. Well, as promised, let's focus on the commodity market. We're now joined by Richard Redoglia, the CEO, Matrix Global, who joins us on the show. Hi, Richard. Always good to have you on the show. Thanks a lot for joining in. Well, the big story overnight is crude oil prices. They have slipped and moved to the lower end of the band. What's your reading of the situation currently? And do you expect crude oil prices to stabilize at these levels? Or do you think there is more downside in store?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I think, as we've been talking about, I think I was on your show over the last 4 or 5 months. My sense is that the prices do exactly what they're doing. They're trending lower. The bounce we're seeing today, I think, is just that. It's a bounce. The market has found, I believe, we have too much crude in the world, and the supply-demand balance is in favor of the barrels or prices moving lower. So I tend to think that we're going to see this market down to around $55. It's been an area I've been looking for the last number of months. I think, as mentioned on your show a number of months ago during the first Iran crisis, that what that caused was a covering of all the shorts that were in the marketplace. Those shorts over time are starting to come back into place, and that's what we're seeing right now. The market is under pressure. The world is finding itself with too many barrels in place. There has been movement on the U.S. side as far as the threatening of tariffs. And I think there's something important to realize here. When you look at this threat by Trump as it relates to India, and I agree with India about their desire to buy cheap Russian oil. The question really becomes is, what is the effect on the U.S.? And really what we're starting to see is the tariff threat is having less effect on U.S. prices. For if you increase tariffs in India, but particularly on China, what you find is there's going to be a slight price increase. But at the same time, if you see a 15 to 20% decrease in the price of crude oil, you see that offset. And so from a consumer perspective here in the US, when I go immediately to fill up my gas tank, I see a significant decrease in the cost of my oil. When will I see the increase in tariffs or the price on goods that I buy from different countries? And those costs are spread out over time. So I think what we're seeing is Trump is playing a proper game. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He is using the tariff regime to direct economic policy, which is the first time in my life, which I think anybody's life has seen this type of approach. And his Secretary of Treasury, Bissett, is right on board with this strategy.
Richard, it may be a bit far-fetched, but if it plays out, Brent crude prices or crude heads down to levels of $55 per barrel, then perhaps would it make sense that, India reduces the purchases of Russian crude oil prices because now crude on the whole is so much cheaper? And that could help strike that deal between India and US?
That's yes and no. Again, we get down to the particulars of crude oil, because what is happening is Russian oil is being sold at a discount to Brent. So even most likely the Russian oil right now that India is buying is probably $55. So where it might be 61, 62, here I see 63, 67. I imagine Russian priced into India right now is probably around $57. Probably could even be a little bit less. And so remember, oil as it's priced is a function of a fungible market. And so the benefit of always buying cheaper oil, no matter what price it is always going to be a benefit. And because India is such an advanced refiner and is selling products outside of its own market, being able to buy Russian oil even at $55, if that's where Brent is trading, they'll be buying Russian oil at $50. That gives them a competitive advantage against other exporters or consumers who are looking to buy oil, or in this case, products, right? Because crude is not really crude; it's just refined products. And so, not necessarily it would be the answer to your question, if that made sense to you.
Well, it did. Thank you very much for coming in this morning and chatting with us.